Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season of AI. And today we are excited to have Chhavi Garg ma'am with us, who will be delivering a powerful session on AI and MCP. So, if you are looking to stay ahead in the world of MCP, this is a session you won't want to miss. So, without any further delay, I would like to invite Chhavi ma'am for this insightful session.
Thank you so much. And with that note, let's just quickly get started. And yes, here we go. So, on what all things that we are going to talk about today, yes, we will be talking about Azure, MCP, AI, and XR. So, let's quickly get started. Before that, who am I? What could be the possible reason? I'm the speaker. So, I'm Chhavi, founder of two companies, Alexa and Bharat XR, and I have worked on multiple technologies, and I have been working lately mostly on the AR/VR part, but also at the same time, last 2 years have been around the part that how I can combine different sort of technologies with the XR in terms of AI or any other like cloud. So, with that note, I'm just starting with the main question that the question and also the main thing that we all know that yes, previously technology used to be the backstage. There used to be days when we used to just talk that yes, technology is the backstage, but today we say that it's the stage, the script, and the spotlight. So it has been a lot of fuss around that yes, AI has been amazing and great, but in reality I feel like we are the people who makes the trend. That's the whole reality. So yes, we should not forget one thing, that technology is in the spotlight because we led the technology to be in it. So yes, so what brings it alive is us. Let's not forget that part. So with that, let's quickly get started. And here comes the first thing in our mind, that what exactly is cloud. Exactly. So whenever we have been talking about this whole part of, let's suppose, whenever we have been talking about Azure, MCP, and also I thought of let's just quickly get started with some sort of like basics, what exactly this whole cloud is about, and it would be really, really easy for us to get some more understanding with that. All right. So now, perfect. Whenever we are talking about the cloud is the easiest thing, basically the limited storage and power that we have been using our mobile phones and using our laptops so much, and we have been storing everything in our just normal mail IDs and so on. That's basically we are storing each and everything in our cloud basically. So for example, you have your laptop and mobile phone, and which has obviously some sort of storage that you have, like for example 15 GB, or sometimes 50 GB or 100 GB, whatever it is. But now, for example, let's suppose now you are using your laptop and it's so powerful that yes, now you can have unlimited storage and you can easily access your any sort of information easily by just doing a quick login. So all that storage is being kept in the cloud, and Azure is basically Microsoft's version of that powerful computer. So yes, when companies say that we use Azure, what they actually really mean is we rent computers, storage, and services from Microsoft over the internet. That's pretty much simple. And also, let's not forget one important thing, that cloud. There are so many like offline storage units. Like there are so many things out there as well. Now here comes the next thing, that is what is AI. So now AI has been pretty much simple, and we all have been using AI from such a long period of time. So we all know that, for example, we have been using, let's suppose, ChatGPT from such a long period of time, and AI is basically a very smart assistant that can understand what you say, read large amount of data, and also give intelligent answer. But the main important thing that we must understand over here, that AI is good at talking, not doing. Let's suppose if I'm asking some sort of question, let's suppose I'm asking ChatGPT, can you tell how to open a bank account? So, but it cannot actually open the bank account for you. This limitation is exactly why MCP exists, and we'll come to that soon. Okay, the whole obviously point is MCP, so we'll understand. But yes, never forget that AI is good at only talking. We can do all sort of conversation, but is exactly AI good at doing? That's the whole main question. Now, here comes the next part, that is basically XR. In XR, it's pretty simple that AR is in XR, it's all about that AR is adding some sort of data or creativity in our real world. VR basically virtual reality adds creates the full immersive space. Uh, Pretty great for training, gaming, and education. And when it comes to specifically MR, that is mixed reality. It's basically mix. Okay, like for example, training simulators. So it works pretty great when it comes to the training part specifically. So that's how AR, VR, MR has been working around the part. Now, for example, so overall, XR is all about experiences. It shows information in a more visual, immersive way. But XR apps alone are like you can say, beautiful car without an engine, to be very frank. So for that, they look good, but they need backend intelligence to work properly. So that's very important. So here comes the main question: what exactly is the problem? So where exactly are we lacking? So AI thinks cloud stores. XR shows, it means XR looks amazing. But, but, they don't connect automatically. Yes, they are like three smart people who don't speak the same language. AI doesn't know how to control Azure, XR doesn't know how to talk to databases, and cloud doesn't understand natural language. So humans end up doing everything manually. That's the whole point. And yes, here comes the main part of basically MCP. Yeah. Now here comes the main question, that how basically MCP work, what exactly MCP is. But coming on to that point again, I'll firstly like segregate the whole part with some sort of easy example, so that it would be pretty easy for you to get some more understanding in the easiest possible way. So now, let's understand it like this. Like, for example, imagine your manager says, "Can you check how many servers are running on Azure?" What do you do? Open your laptop, log into the Azure, click multiple buttons, copy the data, and share the screenshot. Right? That's what you're going to do. Now, AI could understand this request easily, but it cannot do it. That's the gap MCP solves. So, yes, that's basically something. So, for example, let's suppose I, like, as a founder, there are so many things I have to do. So, keeping XR, like, basically what it is, like, how basically it is happening. I am not just talking to my machine. I can actually make the machine do my work done. All right. Now, in this case, like for example, also like for example, let's suppose, imagine you have an intern who knows a lot of things amazing, but they actually don't know the internal tools of your company, and they don't exactly understand what sort of access they must know, get to get their work start, what they are allowed to do and what they are not. Still confusion, right? So what do you give them? You give them the tool access, rules, and clear boundaries, right? Now, that is what exactly MCP does for AI. Pretty simple, right? MCP is a standard rule book that tells AI what tools exist, how to use them, what actions are allowed, and what actions are restricted. So, without MCP, AI can only suggest. With MCP, AI can act safely. This is the most important, you can say, differentiation that we must understand when it comes to specifically MCP. Okay, and also basically MCP is a model context protocol, a standard way for AI to safely use your real tools in the easiest way. Now, for example, you imagine one more thing, like this will help you to understand it in a better and a better way. Okay, now just simply imagine a system had direct access. Okay, let's suppose you give your AI a direct access to in cloud infrastructure, databases, and production systems, right? One wrong instruction could delete the data, shut down the services, and also cause huge financial loss, which can actually cause a huge problem, right? Now, so Microsoft such a like approach is very mature in that. Okay, now for example, I really want to ease my work, but at the same time, I'm very much scared of my data. What if in just one instruction everything gets deleted and shut down, and it's going to be a huge mess? So here the Microsoft's approach is pretty mature, and they say AI should never directly control Azure. Instead, we introduce Azure MCP server, which acts as a security layer a permission checker, and a translator between AI and Azure. Simple, right? So whenever AI wants to do something, Azure MCP server asks, is this allowed? Does the user have permission? Is this action safe? Only then does Azure respond. And this is why MCP is not just powerful, it is enterprise ready. Simple, right? So now, if I just simply go on to some other levels, like for example, if I simply go on to some other levels in terms of the problem solving, in terms of, let's suppose, if I simply talk about the business view, so I really want to cater some of the important parts in terms of manual work, automation, dashboards, conversations. What exactly I want to say. So I'll drop it down in easy way. Okay. Now, in the current time, there are so many companies out there, there's so much of time they are putting, and also there are like so much time which is getting wasted as well. Okay, like for example, let's suppose in most of the companies today, a lot of highly paid talent is doing low value repetitive work. Now what could be that low value repetitive work? Now let's suppose you are a manager in some of the XYZ company, and if any of your like your upper hierarchy or your lower hierarchy person is asking for any sort of updates or any sort of thing, so what would you be doing? You will be checking the dashboards, you would be pulling the reports, verifying the system health, and also answering the same question again and again and every day, right? Now this is not intelligence, this is mechanical work. Exactly. So MCP enables a shift where instead of humans operating systems, AI operates systems on behalf of humans under strict rules. Exactly. That's the main important thing that we should not forget. That is the biggest reason AI comes in. So that is the reason MCP comes in between the AI and also the issue. Because over here we want to add some sort of strict rule so that we are fine with the part of like, okay, nothing goes wrong. So this will obviously save your time, cost, mental bandwidth at the same time. That's why MCP is a big deal for founders and companies. Like for people like me, MCP is very, very important because it helps me in so many things. And if I move forward on to the next part, in terms of like, if I just talk about some sort of very general case study, if I just don't talk about just about the company's perspective, if I talk about something more than that, okay. Hi, Sajil. Hi, Ayush. Thanks. All right. Now, moving on to the part, if I just simply talk about some of the basic case studies, then now let's have something very first, very simple, realistic case study. Okay. Now, let's suppose your founder asks that what's the current status of our cloud infrastructure? Simple. Okay. Now, AI will simply fetch running services, alerts, cost summary. No engineer needed for basic queries. Simple. It's so simple, right? So, there is not always the founder has to, like, the engineer has to respond, and by checking all sort of like dashboards and everything. And let's suppose in the second case study, let's suppose there's a scenario in which the product manager asked, did today's deployment cause any sort of issue? Over there, AI would check all sort of logs and monitoring data via MCP. So that is the second thing. Then in the third case, you know what, let's suppose your support system asks that, are we seeing unusual data traffic today, like traffic today? AI will pull all sort of analytics and give you the insights. Just imagine, it's so easy. You're not giving the full access, you're giving limited access, restricted access, also having all sort of problems solved. So yes, these are some real operational problems, not the futuristic ideas. These are something that happens in every company, every day, every time, right? So that's how the problems are being resolved. And apart from that, if I talk about something more, like let's suppose if I talk about some more case studies, let's suppose if I talk about specifically XR, right? Okay, what could be the possible things that can be done? Okay, so Don't worry, I'll just keep the XR part pretty quick, because if a lot of people don't even relate to that, that's fine. Now, XR is not the core system, XR is the interface. So you need to understand one thing, that XR is all about extended reality. This whole technology is all about experiences, right? So think of XR like a visual dashboard or a more immersive screen. Just think of it like an immersive screen. Cool. Now, XR becomes powerful only when AI provides intelligence and Azure provides data and compute. Now, let's suppose you have created your XYZ XR experience. Obviously, you need to make it more powerful. You can't just keep it to just one simple way, obviously. So for that, if you'll add AI, then it will add some more intelligence, and if you add some Azure, then it would provide data and compute, which is very, very important, because storage also takes place in XR at the same time. Let's not forget that part. So instead of reading a report on a laptop, you might see the same insights in AR, VR, in 3D space. XR does not replace Azure or AI, it sits on top of them. That's why XR is just one layer, not the foundation. All right. Now, if I just talk about some of the use cases in terms of students as well, because I am just because I'm not here to cater the part that like how you can change your life with MCP. Obviously, I'm just here to help you and understand in all sort of perspective. Because see, try to understand. We have been understanding technology in so many ways. For example, if I simply talk about ChatGPT, the simplest conversation AI tool, AI assistant that we have been using in day to day in our day to day lives. For every sort of person, ChatGPT is different. Like for example, for student, ChatGPT is, let's suppose for ChatGPT is for roadmaps or assignments. Let's suppose for working professionals, that's how they are resolving all sort of their doubts in terms of their code or whatsoever day to day problems they are facing. In terms of like for some people who are very much into finances, they are getting some more and more financial knowledge in terms of being better. So for every person, ChatGPT AI assistant is different. In the same way, MCP is like MCP's use cases are different for every sort of person, right? So if I specifically talk about the use cases of MCP for students, so it's pretty simple. That for student, MCP means less focus on memorizing tools and more focus on understanding systems. Specifically, the moment we have started seeing this whole hype of artificial intelligence, we have started seeing that now people are like, especially students are focusing less on the memorizing part, and they are focusing more on understanding the system, the complex systems, right? So for example, let's suppose the students can ask AI, explain my cloud resources. AI will fetch the real data, explains it simply. Students can learn the cloud concept by seeing the real outputs. Simple, right? This is a much better learning approach than long theory lectures, static screenshots. Students learn how systems work, not just definitions. Exactly. Right. So that's how you are not just using your regular, I would say, um, AI or your usual way of just you can say understanding, and you're not also putting a lot of time, or you're not wasting it at the same time. So this is very, very useful for you. Now, if I move pretty forward, so yes, let's quickly understand that what could be the possibility of these use cases specifically for, let's suppose, founders, or let's suppose the professionals. So here comes, so let's suppose if I talk about specifically professionals, MCP is a force multiplier, because it's very, very important for them. Because when you're working professional, you every day there is a thing that you will come across, that you need to work on your skills on a better way. Okay, you need to upskill yourself, you need to upskill yourself. That comes in your time brain. Yeah, so for example, that's why engineers don't stop being engineers, they stop doing boring work. Simple, right? So for example, let's suppose DevOps teams uses AI for monitoring, managers are using AI for the reports, and architects are using AI for system understanding. So the professional still makes decision, AI just removes the friction. Simple. So obviously this increases the time, accuracy, and focus on the high value tasks. Now, if I talk about founders, the people like me, how we are using. So as a founder, there is where this is where MCP becomes extremely powerful. So To be honest, we don't want dashboards. We just want the answers to be there. So for examples, are we overspending on cloud this month? Did anything break after last deployment? Which systems need attention today? Because you need to understand that not every time or and it's not possible that every founder must, like, it's not also important that every founder must be technically strong, right? So every time if for example the XYZ developer is not the uh, cloud person is on leave or something like that, and we still want to understand the data. So what if we have MCP over there? The AI to be is over there to help us get all of these answers. So MCP allows founders to talk to their systems, not manage them manually. So this actually changes how leadership interacts with technology, which is pretty important. So that was more of like me making you understand the use cases and how MCP works and everything. Now let's talk real. Now, this is the main important thing I genuinely wanted to talk about. The main and the major thing that I was awaiting to share about the MCP is how are we actually using the MCP. Basically, MCP has so many things in it, which is pretty obvious. But how are we actually using MCP in the best possible way? So let's quickly do a quick understanding about MCP. I hope till now you got a lot of idea of it. So yes, let me just start now. Let's just make this quick practical before we actually get to the conclusion part, that how to start with MCP and how it actually scales. Now, whenever a new technology comes up, the first question is always, how do I actually start and how long will it take, right? So, here's a realistic MCP roadmap uh, for you. So, firstly, let's quickly do some sort of understanding what is exactly MCP. So, see, let's suppose you don't write code or anything, at least just get some sort of understanding. I know there are so many technical terminologies which are going on in the world, and every time you're confused that okay, on which tech exactly I should put my focus on. So for that I would just simply say that please get some understanding that what exactly this whole tech is about, and how Azure MCP servers fits in, where exactly it fits in, and how companies are also using MCP to scale, and also is there any sort of cost cutting that the companies are uh, can actually see by using MCP. So get some more understanding. That's important. Then, if you want to try hands-on on MCP, it would hardly take like you can say 1 to 2 weeks. You can just simply go to your Azure. You can set up your MCP server, connect it with an AI client, and run simple commands like listing cloud service resources. So this is where MCP stops being theory and starts feeling real. And this is one of the real thing that I have understood lately, that see, theory is not enough any day for anyone. Like theory will just comes and goes. Like there is a huge possibility that after 5 days you will even forget what I just mentioned. So yes, it's very important for you to just do it practically. It will hardly take like for example 3 4 hours for you in the start to just get start, then it will actually at least stay in your mind. Then do apply as well. You know what, now these days MCP becomes useful in terms of automating internal checks, querying the systems using natural language, and also reducing repetitive operational tasks. So MCP has been very important these days. So at this point teams start seeing productivity gains, yes. And also if let's suppose you're joining some sort of company, and also you, if you know about this thing and you're suggesting them, that's a plus point for you, obviously. So yes, that's also very important that companies don't use MCP everywhere on day one. Exactly. So They usually actually start with read only use cases, then they expand to internal tools, then they gradually add some governance and permission. So this is how MCP scales safely in the real environment. So you need to understand that how exactly it is happening. It's a slow process. Same with the part of learning, right? Exactly. So yes, overall, if I say that in the current scenario, if I talk about with some sort of stats, so we already have been seeing one thing, that thousands of MCP servers being built in open source ecosystems. Major platforms like GitHub Copilot and Azure supporting MCP based workflows, and also enterprises experimenting with MCP for internal automation and reporting. So, yes, in reality, if I talk about MCP, so today MCP is where cloud automation was 8 to 10 years ago. So it's early, but clearly moving in one direction. So yes, that's the main thing you need to understand about MCP. That it's not going to take a lot of time for you to like simply get start or like to do a lot of research, but in reality, I would say that MCP is something which is gradually boosting. So if you'll get your hands on right now, it will actually benefit you in the long run, obviously. That is one of the things. And apart from that, if there is any question coming in your mind in terms of MCP, don't hesitate to ask. I would be happy to answer all of your queries at the same time. And side by side, I also um, want you to understand one thing about all of these automations, and when we talk about the journey specifically. Okay, so you can explore a lot of things while exploring MCP. Like specifically, you can firstly understand. You can actually try with some sort of simple actions, like for example, asking AI to fetch system information, reading data from cloud services, or like for example, running non-destructive commands. It will hardly take 1 to 2 weeks for you to get started with that. Not so big automation, but gradually you can add some sort of you can gradually move on to small automations, like for example, you use it for like repetitive checks, stateless reporting, simple internal queries. This is usually the stage where teams say, okay, this is actually useful. Exactly. And obviously, like MCP right now is not something which is any longer personal. It becomes a team tool. Obviously, it is actually helping you to define clear permissions, limit actions, and use MCP for shared workflows. Obviously, so that's how gradually you start moving MCP in your day-to-day work. Now, why exactly this whole thing matters in terms of the long term? So, if I talk about the long term part, I would just say one thing, that see, you need to understand that industry is moving away from apps, dashboard, manual controls. Every day you'll open news and you'll see that okay, this XYZ company is doing some sort of automation. This XYZ company came up with this tool to make it better. This XYZ company is doing layoffs and everything. Why there are so many things happening? Because everyone wants to just get rid of the simple task or the tasks which are taking a lot of time. Every company is focusing on the faster and the easier process. So please, you need to understand that you also need to move towards the AI agents, conversational systems, automated decision support. MCP is one of the foundational pieces that makes this transition safe and scalable at the same time. Exactly. So yes, that's pretty much important. And also like you, like for example, if I take one more example towards you, so just think it like that. Okay, let's suppose you're um you can think it from this process as well, that okay, thank you, Gaurav, with so many comments. Okay. Okay, so I'll just say one thing. So yes, overall, just don't forget this one important thing, that Azure gives you the infrastructure, AI gives you the intelligence, and MCP connects AI to real systems, and XR is just one way to visualize it. So, this whole stack defines how modern systems will be built. And also at the same time, see, at the end, in reality, nobody just wants AI. So nobody just want AI to do just simple conversations, right? So that's why MCP has to be in between, needs to be there, so that we are not just doing the conversation. AI is not just talking to us. AI is actually doing the tasks for us on our behalf. So that will be very, very good. So obviously, that's how everything works, and it's pretty important. And whenever I have been talking about this whole part of specifically Azure AI, or you can say in terms of development, there is one important thing that I always say specifically, that please, these are some of the important things that I always mention. How to actually stay productive and clear as a coder, because whenever you are doing any sort of like XYZ journey start, or you are trying on some things in terms of your skills, please don't chase every language. Again, today, if I'm sharing you with about the MCP, just don't listen, implement it, okay? For a while, it won't take much time for you, okay? So that's why, and also it will actually help you to add some of these small skill sets. So please don't chase every language, stick to one core language, okay? If for example you're choosing cloud, then just stick to one particular cloud server, learn it fully. Or for example, one particular language, learn it fully, and then add some more XYZ small bit of informations to your master skill. Then the second thing that I always say, that please don't compare blindly. Like for example, obviously, there has been a lot of things that people have been talking about LLMs, but my point is, how can you forget cloud? How can you forget web development, app development, which is actually is a side by side thing, right? So yes, no matter what others are doing, just please master your one particular skill. Don't get distracted easily. And then the third part, the most important, that please don't neglect your soft skills. If today I'm able to share my learnings, it's because I actually worked on my soft skills, right? So that's very, very important for you to actually work on your soft skills. It's pretty important. Then here comes okay, here comes the next question, the next part, that don't work without the version control. That's my humble request. Please never ever, please save all of your work, save all of your code as well. That's pretty important for you, because it will actually help you in the longer run. And also at the same time, please pick the direction, not the buzzwords. I have been a huge fan of AI lately, no doubt, but at the same time, I just don't use AI alone. I always combine AI with other technologies. So today as well, I have made you understood how you can combine AI, XR, cloud, MCP at the same time. So that would be very, very easy for you, right? Now, apart from that, as you can understand the industry. Just one second. Now, here comes the second part, that understand the industry, man. So please understand that yes, AI is hot, no doubt, but please never ever forget computing, cloud, and security at the same time. It's very, very important for you to understand the basics and implement it at the same time. Third, experiment but commit. Yes. So explore multiple fields early, but with time, specialize deeply in just one thing. All right. And also, think for the long term as well. Like, do I see myself building scalable systems or solving business problems or designing products? That actually guides the specialization. And at the same time, I always mention this one thing, that please share all of your experiences on LinkedIn at the same time. I feel like LinkedIn is more of like your social media only for profession, like just a professional social media platform, where like just like on Instagram we keep all of our like memories intact in terms of highlight stories, and posts. So always keep all of your learnings on LinkedIn as well. That actually great, and also it actually works in the best possible way. If there is any question, feel free to ask in the comments below. I would be happy to answer. I guess there are no questions. Perfect. Um, so I guess that's all from my side. I hope you guys like this whole part. Yeah. So thank you so much for your time, and feel free to reach out to me on my LinkedIn, or you can find me on any social media platform as Chhavi Gigi. It's pretty easy to find me. Yes. Thank you so much. I hope you guys liked it. Yep.
Okay, thank you so much, Shavi, for this insightful session. And thanks to everyone who joined us on this exciting session on AI, XR, cloud, and MCP. So, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Shavi, for the session.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.